hurdle in achieving a composite social welfare development for the nation, particularly for the young ones and students in Nigeria. Yesterday, my panelist, a person of Dele, Akinsola, a veteran journalist and a former deputy editor-in-chief, News Agency of Nigeria, was with us, and today we are still happy to have him around. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me again.
It's a pleasure having you, and I still have my great brother, a PR and a communication expert, a person who I so much cherish for his unquantifiable support. Here we are again having Dara Adebimpe, a PR and communication expert, staying with us to discuss the topic.
Thank you, Akin, for the compliments. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we thank God for being together all the time. Last week, we were discussing about the essence of empowerment schemes in the nation. And we talked about the issue, the deplorable economic situation that some of us are finding ourselves, even the well-to-do, are also grappling with some financial situations. And that might be depriving some benefits to individuals. Your image, your PR program on TV has just come up with an empowerment scheme. And the aim is to empower students, indigent students in public institutions, public secondary school institutions, with a minimum of 100,000 naira. And that is for people who will be able to sustain their life. And we are talking about children who do not have well-to-do parents, who are really in need of these largesse. And we also have another category, indigent
empowerment. Empowerment that is it's not holistic. We are talking of empowerment on this platform that Primos is rolling out. I think it's scheduled for November 1 in Abeokuta here.
Yeah, Pr-Primus.
Yeah. So all of these, I believe that by the time you train those children, you empower those children, giving them scholarship. In fact, by the time they get to maybe a higher institution or those in higher institution, and then they come out, one cannot quantify what they are likely, to contribute to.
Even the mindset.
Yeah, to the society, and they'll be taken off crime, taken away from the street, because there are some of them now that their parents, they are poor parents. They cannot afford to train them from after their first secondary school education to the university or to the polytechnic. I have many of them in my area that even the parents said, after, because the man is a polygamist anyway, he said after school start, he cannot train any child to the higher institution. They're on their own. And so some of them will go and train as apprentices, bricklayer and all of that. And so this program, this empowerment, before you know it, you are changing the face of the nation. You are changing lives. The lives of those youths. You are going to give them what we call fillip, something that will bolster them up, will galvanize them to go and learn something, so that they will not idle away. They will not idle away, and make sure that their potentials are well channeled to development in particular areas. For example, somebody wants to learn engineering, for example, without necessarily going to enroll as an apprentice, as a bricklayer and all of that. He goes to higher institution. Or somebody who wants to become an automobile engineer, and they get scholarship, he can enroll at Moshood Abela Polytechnic here. That is programs like that can make them to get themselves trained. The best anybody can give to anyone is quality education and empowerment. Yes, some companies, they do under their CSR, corporate social responsibility. But corporate social responsibility by companies now, abroad, is gone beyond that. They are now talking about, they are now looking at sustainability of empowerment programs. That's what it means now. Because when you say you are doing corporate
social responsibility, CSR.
Yeah, the tendency is for those programs not to be sustainable. But for this, that you are looking at empowerment of youths, empowerment of children, you know, who are indigent. Let me call them indigent students as they were. Then, because their parents are poor, that shouldn't stop them from becoming somebody in future, from becoming an engineer, from becoming a doctor, a medical doctor, and all of those things. And so I see the program that is coming up, being sponsored by
Pr-Primus
as something that is laudable, that will change the lives of many and make them to become useful contributors, to make them to become good contributors to the societal development. And because the whole essence of life is for us to have equitable distribution of resources and life, so that somebody will not come out in future and say, oh, I didn't have the opportunity of going to school, and therefore even with all the potentials in such a child dies. And so I want to urge companies and organizations, even governments, individuals, to partner with Pr-Primus, so that we can realize what the goals of Pr-Primus in driving this program. So it is it has a lot of mileage, because for these children, the likelihood is for them, you know, to see that they can also matter in life. They can also become somebody in life and then come back, you know, without taking to crime, without taking to drug and all of that. They can come back and see.
Thank you very much.
To make impact in the society.
I know that there has been a law that set aside a percentage of the revenue, that is profit, made by corporate organizations to be deployed for corporate social responsibility activities. I don't know whether the percentage has increased over time, but that notwithstanding, what other strategies, or why do you think people are not getting connected to this kind of program?
Like we mentioned last week, the economic situation in the country is really not encouraging. When you begin to look at most of our private organizations, multinational companies, when you look at it, majority of them are living or getting outside the shores of this nation because of the seeming negative economic climate that we are passing through. But be that as it may, like government or us to try to enforce the issue of raising funds to raise the standard of facilities in higher institutions, particularly through the TED fund.
TED fund, right?
You know, every organization in Nigeria, I want to believe private-led organizations are supposed to give to government at least 5% of their
education tax.
No, 5% of their revenue
generated
net profit are expected to be given towards this cause annually, and this has helped to raise the standard of infrastructural facilities in most institutions. I think government can, in a way, inculcate this kind of fund to empower our younger ones. You know, maybe they want to say 1% of net worth of every organization in the country should be for empowerment schemes. And of course, for this program that we are even talking of, organizations should begin to see it as a way of creating visibilities for their organization, as a way of encouraging higher productivity for their organization, because there could be a member of the family of their staff that is in their need of empowerment for their children. And one such children is giving such award, he knows obviously that he is benefiting from that organization. That worker will be further motivated to begin to do something that will help the organization further. In other words, it will help to engender value to them.
In those days, we used to see Ministry of Social Development,
Transport,
and sports and whatever, coming up with different schemes and then having such empowerment programs. What is happening? Why is government not engaged in such activities again?
You see, I will always say one thing, and that is the fact that most of the programs that we execute, when you look at public organization or government per se, depends on the body language of who is heading who. That is, what does the leadership in government want? Those are the determinants. If the leadership wants to sustain a particular program left behind by predecessor, go ahead. You can remember when Jonathan was about leaving, there was this program, Empower. I don't know how far that Empower program is.
Is it Empower or Sure P?
Sure P, yes.
Sure P.
Thank you. Sure P. Do we still have it?
To what extent? It's part of what you said initially. Policy somersault. A government comes, there's no continuity.
That's the problem.
That Shopee should have gone. In fact, the government that took over from Jonathan should have continued with Shopee.
Should it be a political program or a structural program?
It should be properly structured, and that's why when you look at what the program they have with the Ministry of Education, empowerment should be at a department.
Sure.
In the Ministry of Education.
You recall during the era of Babangida, we used to have DFRI. DFRI was one of those institutions created for such things that we are saying, because case acquisition are included in DFRI activities. But to what extent is the follow-up today? And our current leadership, President Tinubu is saying he wants to see how about
what is the role of the National
Directorate of Employment? That's another kettle of fish.
ND is incapacitated. Let me tell you, ND has a lot of laudable programs.
But it's under DFRI.
Yeah, but due to
vocational skills.
Yeah, but due to paucity of funds, how much is being allocated to ND, National Directorate of Employment? I have friends who are working there, and they complain. For example, there are some programs they did last year, and even up to early this year, that they gathered some youths, and then they trained them in animal husbandry, and ask me if you ask me how much they give them, so paltry, so it's negligible. 100,000 naira for them to go and start off, with animal husbandry. These are areas where money should be pumped into, so that the empowerment can be meaningful, and so that you can see, for example, if they can give them, maybe the least they could give them should be about 50,000 naira or 500,000 naira. Yes. With that, somebody can raise, goats. That within 6 months, even within 1 year, you'll be surprised that will turn into millions, will generate money, and then that person also contributes to the development of the society. And so all of this, we are talking about self-determination here. That to make these children to realize who they are and what they can do. They shouldn't become defeated. Exactly. Yes, and say, there's nothing that we can do. There's no money, government is not helping. And this is why I said I have advocated that empowerment, the Department of Empowerment should be in the Ministry of Education and should be in the Ministry of Labor, Productivity and Employment. Not that they will be doling out wheelbarrow or whatever machine. And say they are machine and say they are that. So that if you empower them, these children, they will come out, they will not become criminals on the street, they will not become bandits, they will not become kidnappers. Of course, they will become. They want to live a good life. They also want to come back and give back to the society.
I just want to say why we are doing this. We should begin to call the attention of the government too. That's why
I really want to ask this question. I want to ask that: how do we engender societal progress and holistic development in the nation?
Okay. In that area, we need to create an enabling environment.
Okay.
The economic policies, the physical policies that government dishes out must be seen to be favorable to all these people that are being empowered. If these people are...
The town hall meetings, what are the essence?
Now, let me tell you, see, the government assumes to know too much about what the people need. Before, some state governments were, holding town hall meetings. Even the federal government, under the immediate past president, Muhammad Buhari, they will go and do town hall meetings, and it becomes a jamboree. The town hall meetings we are talking about should be selective, should be representative. You look at a segment of society, not the old people, not the young, and everybody will say you want
not
to
even for politicians.
Not even for politicians. Gather youths, and you want to have engage them. Yeah, constructive engagement. You want to engage them in empowerment, and then you now look at widows. Or women generally, and take those ones again and have town hall meetings with them, and then you now look at the oldies, what can they do, and all of that, and then you empower them appropriately.
You even have a composite feedback from them, and then you begin to allocate resources.
Resources, exactly. And so that in fact, if they do that before the budget is released, or before they start preparing the budget, they can appropriate, funds for such empowerment programs, so that it won't be now that we have subsidy has been removed, and then we're now having what we call emergency program called palliatives, and then you are now thinking of let's give them some bags of rice or beans or gari and all of that. That's not what is empowerment. That's not. Empower people, train them, and make sure that they acquire skills, and they can use that skill to transform the society, and make sure that they create wealth. Because you see, when you are empowered, you're not empowered to go and be a waster.
Your opinion on the way forward?
I think by now any empowerment program should begin to look at the relevance of such program to the environment to which the beneficiaries are. For instance, we have several farmlands that remain unoccupied now. Uncultivated. There are certain, when you go to Niger Delta, fishing is so easy to be done. We need to empower people along that path. In areas where, when you get upland, there are lands that could be cultivated for farming. There are special products that are peculiar to certain areas. We know where we can grow cocoa. Why could not empower people in that area to engage in such activities? In cassava, in irrigation farming, where we have rivers that could be dammed to engage people in farming activities, given the fact that we are facing inadequate food shortage in our country today. So these are the areas that government should meaningfully empower people, so that there will be a buyback upon the whole economic environment, so that money that is spent will be wisely spent. It will not just be doling out money to political. It will not be political
The time is even all the youths in the ministries and all of that.
Exactly.
So why don't you now concentrate? The government should concentrate on having this empowerment program so that the youths can be meaningfully engaged and become somebody.
Thank you very much. It's all about engendering a shift in the ways we've been doing things. People will always say in the olden days it used to be better. I believe development should be getting us better and not being retrogressive. We believe that if government, corporate institutions, individuals, philanthropists do have a buy-in into empowerment schemes or come up with different empowerment schemes in their respective areas, in schools, in villages, in communities, I think the better for the nation. Of course, individuals will become more financially independent. They will learn to earn more and develop their family. We now have a community reveling in peace, growth, and development. Well, it is your responsibility to encourage those who are less privileged. It is your responsibility to ensure that Nigeria